Hi guys, so what I'm going to be doing today is going through the 5 projects that I suggest any beginner who's trying to learn Python should undertake. So once you finish your hello worlds and all your basic stuff learning a language, these are the places where I think you should start. So these aren't just made for Python, they can be used through an array of languages, but Python specifics are what I'm going to be looking at today. So project number 1 is guess the number. This is where you say to the computer, pick a random number between, let's say, 1 and 50, and then the user has a set amount of tries to get that number. So if we have a look at what I've created so far, we start off with our upper range, which is set here, and we pick a random number between 1 and our upper range, which is 50. Now in the main loop, we give our user 5 tries to guess this number. So there is one flaw with this program, and if I show you, so guess number 1, let's just go straight down the middle, let's go 25. That was incorrect. 24, 20, 30, 23, and 5. We were looking for 6. I was rather close, never been that close. But the way we could improve this is introducing a higher or lower system, making it slightly more easier for the user. So what we can do here is if we go if int the guess, so if the user's guess is less than int number 2 guess, then what we want to do, we want to print higher. Else prints lower. Now this obviously makes it slightly more easier for the user. So if I go 25, it's lower. We'll go 15, lower, 5, higher, 7, 9. We'll look for 11. But in essence, this makes the program more fun for the user because they're not just randomly stabbing in the dark. There's a bit of a guessing element to it now. But I think another way to improve this further would be maybe add a multiplayer section to it. So you have a guess, your person next to you has a guess, and the first one to get it wins. This is a good place to start. You're using using variables. You're manipulating variables, such as here with the tries. You're then also using while loops, if and else statements. Through here, you've got breaks. And I just think this is a solid ground to learn the base work of how Python works. So the second project that I'd suggest is a file sorter. So this is a program that will loop through all files in a directory, look at the extension and create folders for each extension and move them into those folders. So this helps clean out large folders if you've just got your files everywhere. So if we look at what I've currently got, so inside of my folder here, we've got a couple of CSV files and 4 text files. And this program is rather small, it's very basic. So all we do is we ask for the path, we list the files, put the files inside of the directory into a variable. We then go through each one. If the directory does not exist, we create the directory first using the extension name. And then we'll move the file from the original folder into the new one and clean everything up. So if we run this quickly, so main.py, run it, done, and see test, done. Cool. So then if we go in here, all of our CSV files are here, and every text file is in here. Now, a way that I'd suggest maybe making this better is looking at how many different types of files are inside that system, and then going through each different type of file and asking the user what they would like to name that directory they get put into. Because this would mean that instead of just having CSVs, text files, everything like that, we're then getting more of a customizable experience to the user. I know it's very beginner friendly still, but I think that's something that shouldn't be too hard to add on. Okay, so my third and final console-based project suggestion is a login-based program where a user can either create an account or log into an account. Now the one I'm about to show you is not secure, it's very basic and I would never suggest using this. But this is a good program just to get used to looking at how you can store bits of information, maybe further down the line look at encrypting it and then putting it to a database, whether using MongoDB or SQL. So yeah, let's have a look at what I've got written here. So here it's, again, rather basic. We've actually here split it up into separate functions to try and keep it a bit cleaner. So we start off with checking whether the user has an account with us. So yes, 1 is yes, 2 is no. You can change this to Y and N. I just was flying through it very quickly. If they do have an account, which is 1, then we'll ask them to log in, enter their email address. And then getPass is sort of a password secure input system, so you cannot see what the user is typing. We'll then create our search string, which, because this is how we store the data in a text file. We'll look through our text file and we will then say they have logged in or incorrect details and loop through. To create an account, same process, but we're asking them to repeat their email address, repeat their password. If the email address does not equal the email address or the password does not equal the confirmed password, then the details are incorrect and it will try again. Otherwise, it will create the account, create the text file if it doesn't exist, put the text in there and then move to the login section. So let's have a quick look at how this works. So if we go to the main, so no, we don't have an account. Let's go test and the password will be test. So now if we go, I'll get to the password section. So the text file was created automatically and this is how the data is stored. The one thing that I would suggest, there we go, and it's logged in. The one thing I would suggest when creating this and trying to move forward is, again, as I said, it's plain text. What you'd want to do is you'd want to move this into a database style. Well, no, not database style. Move it into a database and ensure the data is encrypted. And yeah, try and have a more secure way of getting the data back. Because right now it's a text file, but again, this is for beginners. So if you can get this up and running, then that's something you can look at moving to in the future, especially like MongoDB is very easy to just plug in. So I'd suggest trying to use that, and it's an offline database, so you won't always need an internet connection to ensure the login credentials are correct. So yeah, this was my third project. Let's move on to the fourth. Now the fourth project that I'd suggest to beginners is rock, paper, scissors. Now you can start this in the terminal, but I thought I'd skip to the slightly more advanced version of using tkinter. Now you don't have to use tkinter, you can use Pygame, you can use Turtle. There's many other modules you can use, but I chose to use tkinter as this is what I've used in the past. Now tkinter creates a GUI for us, so we can actually physically see and interact with our application. So if we have a look at what I've created here, so I've got all of the modules here, tkinter, we've got stringvar TTK, and then we've got our message box for errors, and random as well, because obviously we need random for rock, paper, scissors. Now, this is going to look a bit more daunting than anything before, just for the pure size of the script. But again, it's not that difficult once you get down to the bottom of it. So for example, self rock button. I'm just creating this, all these lines are just creating a button. This is saying where I'm placing the button, and this is what happens when you click it. And obviously this is the text of the button, and it's the same throughout. And there's a very similar vibe going on as we go down further. So if we go down to the actual core of the game, which is the run game. So we look at the choices which have been made. So the computer current choices are random from this list, which is given. The user choice, we're setting the label for that we've called user choice to have the text of the selected value of yourself, and the computer choice label is being set to the computer choice. And then here is the logic. It's very basic, and there's no thought process in the computer. It's completely random. You could potentially look at creating something which stores how many times you've chosen rock, paper or scissors, and then have the computer try and guess at how they can beat you. That could be quite interesting to see how well it learns how you play. But for now, let's just have a quick look at how it runs. I forgot what I called this file. There we go. So at the moment, it's nothing pretty to it. It's very basic. So I choose rock, computer chooses scissors, I win, I get a point. I choose paper, we both chose paper, so it's a draw. I choose paper again, the same. And then if I sit here and spam this, you'll see that there is no pattern to the computer, it is just completely random. And I've sat here and clicked this many times, and the score will just grow for me, grow for the computer. You could add more logic to this, you can make the screen a lot more friendly for the user. There's many things you could add here. You could have multiplayer, so if you're sat next to someone, it wouldn't be much fun, but it's something you can work on to see how, well, sort of grow and understand how Tkinter itself works. So yeah, I'd suggest this is good just for trying to understand how to create a GUI for, well, using Python and using Tkinter. So the fifth and final project that I'd suggest for beginners to learn is Snake. Now, to create Snake, I suggest using Pygame. This is the module that lets you, well, as it says on the tin, create games in Python. It's not as easy as easy isn't the correct word, but it's not like Unity where there's a bit of drag and drop elements. Everything is from scratch. You will create your own. If you use assets, you've got to say where they go. You've got to create all the logic, is what I'm trying to get at here. So Snake is the most advanced project in this list. It's not super difficult, but there's a lot you have to learn to understand how this works. You've got to work with lists, you've got to work with creating random sizes, random positions, sorry, but then also making sure that the random position isn't off the screen. You've got to work with game logic. But yeah, let me jump in and show you what I've created here. This isn't something that I'm not going to go through all this because it's just there's too much to go on, and I'd quite like this to be a project that you guys create yourself and try and work towards. But we have Snake. It's Snake. So yeah, this is the final project that I suggest creating. Mainly because, as I said, it's a way for you to understand a bit of everything about Python, use everything that you've learned over the past 4 projects into this final project, and it's probably the most challenging. And then moving forward, once you create Snake and you feel confident, you can move to very advanced levels just using Snake. There's a very famous YouTuber called Code Bullet, who taught an AI how to play Snake and train the AI. And this is something that you can work towards. It won't be instantly, but something as basic as Snake can become such a huge project. So yeah, they were the 5 projects that I'd suggest learning for beginners. If you have any other projects that you learn at the beginning of coding or that you find interesting when you start learning new languages, please let me know. And yeah, I hope to see you again soon. Speak to you later. Bye. Now, I know I say this nearly every time, but really a massive thank you to everyone who's subscribed, commented and liked. I say this every time because it grows massively every time. The views, especially on the first video, growing, but the likes and the views growing on the other videos mean so much more because it clearly isn't getting out there as much. So all the likes and the love on that are amazing. So thank you to each and every one of you, and please remember to like, subscribe and comment down below if you've got any future ideas for videos, if you've got any project ideas that you would use if you move to intermediate or advanced, and we'll have a look into them. So yeah, thank you again.